It is with great pleasure that we introduce our son, Kyle Marlin, to the world. His first name, Kyle, is from my grandfather's name, Yafiel, who passed away a couple years ago. My grandfather, Poppy, as he was called, was a sweet-natured man who loved to always be there for his friends, family, and members of the community. Poppy, he served honorably in the United States Army in World War II, and I always had an appreciation for the sacrifices he made, but if I'm being 100% honest, I don't think somebody like me who never served in the Army could probably understand what it was like to leave his family and friends to face dangers that I can't and don't want to imagine, to fight for a cause that he believed was just and right. I happen to work for the Department of Veterans Affairs, and almost on a daily basis, I read about a veteran that fought or died for their country, and really what that means is that almost on a daily basis, I think about my Poppy and what he must have gone through. I think about how scared and lonely he must have been at times, and how brave he had to be, and what it was like for an Orthodox Jew to reconcile all that he saw and experienced with his devout belief in God. But I also have happier thoughts about my Poppy as well. I think about how he would spend hours on his stamp collection, meticulously removing stamps from envelopes and putting them in some kind of organization that I never really understood. As a child, I ended up collecting trading cards and comics and feel like that at least partially came from my Poppy. And any of you have ever watched my son Obi with his trains and how he meticulously orders them and plays with them, then you can tell there's clearly a genetic link between that. And I remember his collection of canes as well around the house, a result of injuries that he suffered in the war, and how he would let me watch over them and hold them while he was praying in synagogue. I also remember how he once invited me into his office and showed me his electronic calculator, one of those loud ones that would spit out paper, and how amazing I thought that machine was. And of course, this was before computers, but I would literally spend hours just banging on the numbers and hearing the paper come out. And I'm sure my Poppy expected that I would tire of it eventually and stop wasting his paper, but I didn't, and he never complained. I will say that the next time that I went into his office, I could not find that calculator. So well done. I hope that my son will share my grandfather's bravery and courage, his kindness and thoughtfulness, his belief in what he thought was right, and his audacity to make extreme sacrifices in an effort to help achieve those beliefs.
I'm going to do my best here. Ruby might have to take over at some point. We chose Kyle's middle name, Marlin, after losing our very dear friend, Marla Gilson. It's not even the first sentence. This past year, what was too short of a battle of cancer. Marla, or Malka, which was her Hebrew name for queen in Hebrew, was the chief lobbyist for the Washington branch of Hadassah. Professionally, she fought hard for improving U.S. internal relations, reproductive health, and increasing funding for stem cell research. Personally, she fought hard for, well, everything else. Whether it was fighting to get the best deals at estate sales, fighting for her daughter to get the best educational accommodations for her learning disabilities, and ultimately sending her to law school where she truly excelled, and by the way, is currently a rock star at University of Maryland. Or fighting for democratic politics, Marlin made her opinions known and was quite decisive. A true Malka, or queen. That's where we get the name Mela, which is king, his Hebrew middle name. Ruby and I, and Obi for a few years, had the absolute pleasure of knowing Marla and learning from her. I'll never forget Marla's very valuable opinions about making sure that adults treated and spoke to children, even very young children, with respect. Marla had long, very serious talks with Obi about shapes, colors, and pancakes at the local diner. One time, Ruby and I were describing our concerns to Marla about how Obi, who was just over one at a time, seemed to be developing slowly with regards to speech. I think I nonchalantly referred to it as a language delay or something like that. Marla looked us straight in the eyes, put her finger in our faces, and said very sternly, "This is the last time you will pathologize that amazing son of yours, and you will certainly never do so in his presence." She kind of scared us, actually. I took this very seriously and still find myself thinking about the value of this advice, both as a parent and as a psychotherapist. She preached patience and respect in parenting, and I think about these values every day. Great. Although Marla could be fiery when she made her opinions known, she was extremely kind and generous. When Ruby and I moved into our house for the first few weeks, while drowning in trips to Bed Bath & Beyond, I was 9 months pregnant at the time with Obi. We would frequently come home and find goodies on our front porch. One time it was a toolkit with a drill, one time it was a bike for Ruby in the garage. And one time we realized, probably weeks later, that she had filled up our entire shed with gardening supplies. One time, and I kid you not, we came home and Marla and her lovely daughter Julia were planting a tomato garden, an entire herb garden for us, without having told us this was happening. let us know about these visits. We frequently came home, looked around, looked at each other with smiles on our faces and said, "We've been Marla." Marla had a lot of loves. She fiercely loved her husband Carl and their children Julia and Alex. She loved her friends and clearly her friends' kids. She loved her work, loved bike riding, loved advocating for her family and friends, fixing things around the house. Perhaps one of her deepest and strongest loves was for the water. I'll never forget showing up to her mutual friend's beach house in New York, running straight down to the beach as I usually do right when we arrive, and seeing Marla emerge from the water, having just been wiped out by a wave, wearing only half of her bathing suit, with a huge smile on her face. I gave her a mortified look and pointed out the missing bathing suit issue. She looked back at me and gave me a thumbs up. Marla absolutely loved the beach and loved, loved, loved the water. If the ocean was swimmable, she was swimming. As a bit of a water baby myself with high hopes of producing my own little water babies, I love this quality of Marla's. She was a true fish who brought joy and silliness to the water. The Marlin is one of the strongest and fastest fish in the sea. We thought the name Marlin fitting, hoping that our little Marlin would capture the true spirit of our dear friend and would be a lover of all things water and a fierce fighter and an even fiercer giver.
So just in short, just like with Obi, Annie and I felt very strongly about giving our Kyle Marlin two names that were incredibly meaningful for us. We look forward to sharing with Kyle Marlin the stories of the people he was named after. We also look forward to the challenge of instilling specific characteristics reflective of them in him, like bravery and courage, kindness and thoughtfulness, generosity, patience, and the importance of protecting those that you love. And just on a personal note, I can't load the entire thing is personal. I can't possibly not take this opportunity to publicly thank my wife, Anita, for everything that she's done for our family this past year. Thank you for housing Kyle for 38 weeks and 2 days. Thank you for being an absolute champion while laboring during delivery for approximately 48 hours, which for the record is about 24 hours, which for the record was about 24 hours less than laboring with Obi. Thank you for shocking me with your strength and determination in having Kyle Marlin the way you wanted to, fighting through pain and exhaustion and achieving a natural childbirth. And thank you for the last 3 years of being an amazing mother to my firstborn son, and prospectively, thank you for the scores and scores of years that you'll continue to be an amazing mother for all of our children. I can't possibly express myself adequately with the words to convey how proud of you I am, how proud I am to be your husband, and how dreadfully and madly in love with you I am and always will be. Additionally, I would be remiss if I did not thank all of the family and friends who came from near and far to be with us today. Your presence here means more to us than we could possibly vocalize, so I won't even try. But thank you again, everybody, for coming, and please enjoy refreshments and the delicious whitefish salad and other goodies that we have downstairs. Thank you again.